Funky Politics.
I'm the first African-American elected mayor.
Right.
However, there have been two preceding mayors.
Shackelford was one.
Shackelford was one,
Shackelford.
and Charles Bussey was the other. But they both were city directors. They were not elected mayors.
I see.
They were just appointed from their peers to become mayor.
You are listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. Man, I think my name is still DC. I'm sitting here with the two best co-hosts of Funky Politics you could ever have, Doc Ward and Tasha Rainmaker Downey. What up? How y'all doing?
Good to hear.
I never understood. I missed the staff meeting when they started calling you the
Rainmaker.
Yeah, I didn't.
You missed that?
I missed it. I mean, I love the name now, but I want to understand why.
So I work in philanthropy.
Okay.
Where we give away and we get money.
Okay.
That's Rainmaker.
So that is what we call making it rain.
Okay. So you just like a thunderstorm then.
Basically.
Can we call you monsoon?
You can.
Whatever.
Hurricane.
Cyclone.
Cyclone T. So I like cyclone.
Hey, wait a minute. There was a cyclone that went through the British Isles here not long ago, y'all.
You can call me Cyclone.
What was it called? Cyclone T?
Yeah, that's right. Cyclone T. You spell it Trump.
I'll take it.
This guy just ran through the British Isles, came over to France, and man, I think he's back home now.
Yeah, but the big baby showed up for him in London.
They had the blimp. Wasn't that weird?
The big baby truck.
Somebody stabbed it, and the thing still flew. Lord, this guy can't get a break, man. He can't get a break.
He didn't deserve a break.
Stabbed the baby balloon.
Stabbed the baby balloon.
He doesn't deserve a break.
I mean, but you know what though? As much as people talk about the president, those that don't like him, detract from him. I really don't. I don't care.
That's not the show.
It's not a show. If we want it to be, we're not going to sugarcoat anything here either. But what I'm saying is, I really hate that for the office of the president.
Sure.
Because the president of the United States is the ruler and protector of all, supposedly, all that is free.
The free world.
All that is free and all that is good in the world. And when we have that type of symbolism under attack, it really is, and I hope all Americans understand it, really is a serious issue. And so we need to be mindful of that when we go to the polls. And I tell you who to vote for, we just tell you that this office is bigger than the person. And we need to be mindful of that.
Well, speaking of that, Tasha, there is an office holder that will be visiting with us today here on Funky Politics. And I think Doc has coined it as King of the Rock. Is that right?
King of Rock.
Oh, King of Rock. I thought it was King of the Rock.
We're getting a piece of the rock. We're getting a piece of the rock today.
Tasha,
I'm not talking about Prudential. I'm giving
It's La Petite Rock.
Who we got?
It is Frank Scott, the mayor of Little Rock,
Arkansas. Is that Frank Scott Jr. or Frank Scott Sr.?
Frank Scott Jr.
We talking about
mayor
that
of Little Rock, Arkansas. The Reverend alumnus of the University of Memphis.
Won't he do it? Jesus. Won't he do it? Right here on Funky Politics. Won't he do it on? I tell you what.
Do it.
Doc, before we do this, we'll be right back to talk to the one and only, the Honorable Frank Scott Jr., the mayor of the city of Little Rock, right here on Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network.
Riffin' on Jazz.
I'm Howard Robertson, one of your hosts for Riffin' on Jazz. Riffin' is your weekly visit with friends where we dive all in to that classic African-American art form called jazz. So don't miss Riffin' with me and my man Melvin Massey every week on your favorite broadcast and podcast platforms.
Riffin' on Jazz on the Kudzukian Network. Kudzukian! More of what you're looking for.
You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. I am DC, sitting here along with, the Funky Politics crew.
Yes.
Tasha Rainmaker Down. That's just what I call a Rainmaker. She making it rain?
Don't tell people why.
I ain't going to say nothing. This is a holy show. Whatever. Doc Ward, what's up, Doc?
Funky Politics, where we only deal with those that keep it real. We only fight for those who do it right. And if you are real and you are right, we will funk with you.
Oh.
We gonna funk with you.
I like the way you do that.
That's
boy.
what we gonna do. That's
funk it up in here.
Well, you ready to make it rain?
I'm ready.
We got a funky person in town from Arkansas. I'm not saying he's funky because he's from Arkansas. He's funky because he's a deep brother. He's a deep brother.
The
one and
land of
only.
opportunity.
The Honorable.
There you go.
Frank Scott Jr.,
you go.
the mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas. Welcome to Funky Politics, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much, DC, Doc, and Tasha, the Rainmaker. So, what are you making it rain with?
Oh, we're going to keep this show on the tracks of the train, about to get off the tracks.
We're
Hold on.
trying to
questions
stay with our
already.
FCC regulations.
I understand.
You better get out your way.
My day job is in philanthropy.
All right. Dollars
Hey, look,
and
hey,
cents.
Mayor is giving. She's giving. Doing it.
Dollars and cents.
There you go.
She's giving.
Money
doing it.
cometh.
Money does come her way, Lord. Sometimes in
Rain
dollars
like-
and sometimes in
Like
fives.
manna
Well, we
from
appreciate tithes and offerings. So it's
Oh, praise the Lord. What you got, Doc? You got something burning on your chest there. What's
the
up
doors
with
of
you?
the church are open.
Oh, Lord.
always.
Always, always.
I know
And-
y'all got this funky man up in here, boy, from
man.
Arkansas.
And you know
Lord,
what?
that man.
He's not just funky. He's historical. This is the first African American elected mayor in the history of La Petite Roche, otherwise known
The
as
Little
Rock.
Oh, he's
By
been
the
doing a little
river.
research.
Yeah.
No, my
By the river.
my mom's from Arkansas. So
All
it's just
right.
way
There's a
out.
big
La
rock.
Petite Roche.
Yeah.
But they
I
the
thought that
little
was
rock.
Red Stick. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's somewhere. That's
you
Baton Rouge.
you thought there was some dish with
Baton
some
Rouge.
bacon on it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
you all the way here in
All
Memphis,
the way.
Tennessee.
Yep.
Is this
Yeah.
something new to you? This political office that you're holding?
Well, I've been blessed to have a varied amount of experiences in both the public sector and the private sector, but just kind of a bit of my journey, born, raised, and I still reside in Southwest Little Rock, which is one of the low-income areas of our city, and so it's just truly a testament to be from that particular area and to have risen to be the leader, chief elected leader of the nation, the state's capital city. But born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, did not want to go to college, but through a praying mother who had my older sister at the age of 14, she demanded that I was going to go to college. And so I ended up at the University of Memphis. And so I spent 4 years
Praise
here
the Lord
in the
for
city.
the
I know
University
some of
of
y'all
Memphis.
may call it Memphis
Memphis State.
but you kind of
Yeah,
date
it's Memphis
yourself.
State when I was there.
Well, that means you're kind of old because we understand when that
Or
changed.
Ti- or Tiger High.
Or Tiger High.
Hold
Right
on.
about that.
Are you insulting my fine university, sir?
But no, I love the University of Memphis. I'm actually in town receiving a outstanding alumnus award, one of 5 individuals, and it's a truly honor to be here.
Sure.
Back in what I call my second home. But graduated from the University of Memphis with a business degree. Came back home to Little Rock, Arkansas. Spent a couple years as a distribution manager. Then I kind of had my quarter-life crisis and decided that business at that particular realm I didn't want to pursue, and so I began to overnight weekends manage a shift, and then during the week campaign for then Attorney General Mike Beebe, who was running for governor.
right.
He ultimately won in 2006. I joined his administration as a policy advisor and rose to become his director of intergovernmental affairs and deputy director of policy. I went to school at night to get my MBA at the University of Arkansas Little Rock. I decided to go back into business. I became an executive in finance with First Security Bank, one of the state's largest banks. I did that for 7 years, and while doing that, Governor Beebe decided to appoint me to the State Highway Commission, where I became the second African American
wow.
on the State Highway Commission. The first was Rodney Slater, who
Right,
later
that's
became a Secretary of Transportation under President
Right,
Clinton.
right.
I did that for a few years and got back into the business again, and then through a spirit of frustration with the system and institution of the city of Little Rock, I wanted to change things. I wanted to unify our city and focus on making it a better city for our entire state, and decided to run for mayor of my hometown. And ultimately, we were in a field of 5 candidates and won the general election, but didn't reach the threshold of 40%. We only won with 38.2, and so we had to go into a runoff on December the 4th. And being an alpha man, it was great to win on December the 4th.
Hold on right there. Hold on right there.
Why you holding?
You're listening to Funky Politics
Why are you holding
powered
on?
by the Kudzukian Network.
why-
Behind something like that.
Why were you holding on?
Behind,
he
you
said
got
he was
a
an alpha
brand.
man. You
Well,
could've
behind that, you got a brand. You got a
let- what type
brand.
of
I just got a brand. I got to brand something. Get something brand new up in here.
Okay. Well, see, brand means something totally different.
Whatever.
Everybody started rolling up their sleeves for the listening audience.
why?
The Kappa and the Q in his office started rolling up their sleeves.
Yeah.
to
Penalty.
prove
Yes,
points in here.
absolutely.
But I like to say, Dr. King couldn't be who he is. Dr. King couldn't be who he is without Ralph Abernathy.
There you go.
We appreciate everyone a part of the Divine Nine
And Jesse Driver.
And-
right?
and Jesse Driver.
Jesse Driver.
and Benjamin Mays.
and Benjamin Mays.
Keep on.
We can keep it going. Yeah.
But at any rate, though,
Go ahead, man.
But at any rate, though, I mean, as you proceeded down this path of history, and you already said that you weren't liking the way things were going, what did you see as what could be a better Little Rock?
Well, what could be a better Little Rock? Little Rock has not reached its true potential. We're a great city, but we can be an even greater city. We have to move from being disconnected to connected with one another. I can remember sharing on the campaign trail, there was a certain area of town more affluent area that I didn't even travel to until I was 22 years old. That was after college. And so when you understand that there's a lack of intentional interactions and intentional relationships, that bodes outside of race and outside of culture, but it's a geographic. And when you don't have those type of interactions, it's not good for business, because we all understand that the true diversity, there's a value in that, and that value creates profitability. And so what I wanted to do is kind of stitch back our city together through a quilt of cultures, a quilt of races, a quilt of economics, all the way together, and just really make certain that we understand we are the capital city. Not only are we a historic city for the Little Rock Nine and many others, and how we have a special place as it relates to the civil rights movement as well as education equality, but we are one of 50 unique cities in the United States, and we got to act like it. We got to resemble that. We have to reflect that, and that was the reason why we created this campaign theme, and it's our internal why: unifying our city and focusing on true change to make us all better.
How'd you edge the other competitors out? 5 is a pretty crowded field for a city the size of Little Rock.
Well, one, we had a great team, and we wanted to make certain that we were going to be very professional, very pristine, be on message, on time. And so that's number one. And we were, being a millennial generation and being a millennial candidate, we understood that we were going to be the underdog. And so we had to make certain that when we wouldn't get our own press, we had to make our press. And so we made that press through the utilization of social media. And when I talk, I'm not just talking about Facebook and Twitter. It was Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and even LinkedIn. And so we wanted to make certain everyone knew our message, and we had to make certain that we was going to be as visible as possible. But most importantly, not only that, we wanted to have a true policy agenda that spoke to the people and that the people understood and understood that message. And finally, probably even more importantly, is that we knocked on doors. And we made a point to make certain that we were going to
slow it down when you say that, though, because that's something a lot of people running for office do not understand. It's more than just the speeches. You have to get out, get on your tennis shoes, and knock on these doors.
You got to talk to the people, and the people will share with you, okay, hey, we may think public safety is an issue, but it may be a specific thing within public safety once you knock on the doors and understand what the people are truly saying, how they're being affected. And if you're truly going to be a servant of the people, you have to know the people, and the only way to know the people is really get to them at the doorstep.
I like
and so we knocked on close to over a year and a half, somewhere close to 35 to 40,000 doors.
I want to hold that right there. I want to hold that point right there, Mr. Mayor. We got to take a quick station identification. All right, we'll be right back here on Funky Politics with the one and only Mayor, the Honorable Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Don't get him confused with his daddy, Frank Scott Sr. Right here on Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network.
The Chairman's Perspective.
Hi, this is Lee Eric Smith. Let's take a look inside Shelby County government as we unleash some of the views of our very own Chairman of the Shelby County Commission, Van Turner. The Chairman's Perspective on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Kudzukian.com, or your favorite podcast provider.
The Chairman's Perspective on the Kudzukian Network.
Kudzukian Funky Politics. More of what you're talking for.
We're back with you right here on Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. We got the mayor, not the mayor, but the mayor in from the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, Frank Scott Jr.
The mayor?
Well, that's just what I say.
One of your colloquialisms?
It's a colloquial, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't spell it, but
we
that's
don't engage.
Doc Ward.
No, we don't engage in colloquy.
Doc Ward,
colloquy is not funky.
What is it? A little funky.
Colloquy is never.
Mr. Mayor, we were talking just a little bit ago about you knocking on all these doors, 35,000, and we talked about the implications of being able to reach out and touch folks. People want to see who that is that they want. They say want to represent them, right? And so just to reach out and touch. You did those touches. You won. Let's talk about now. You are now the city mayor of the city of Little Rock. How is that working out?
It's truly a blessing and an honor to serve our city, to be a hometown kid, to have this opportunity and this responsibility to lead. And so we've been in office now a little over 157, 158 days in office. So not quite 6 months, but approaching 6 months. And so we've experienced a ton, probably more than the previous administration ever experienced in the 12 years that he was in office.
12?
Yeah, he was in office 12 years. And so we've experienced a lot, many things that one doesn't prepare for. We changed our former government, or technically adhered to a former government that was passed in 2007. We reorganized that organizational chart, reorganized the government in City Hall on January the 14th. but also we experienced a tragic officer-involved shooting on my 53rd day in office, and had to then move swiftly within 13 days to introduce Little Rock's and Arkansas's first critical incident video, to be accountable, to be clear, and to be transparent. Right. And then in the meantime, we've announced and recruited close to 620 jobs. And so we're excited about that, got on the ball running. We brought in a new manufacturing company from the Czech Republic of about 565 jobs, averaging about $25 an hour, where Little Rock's per capita income.
25?
Yeah.
From the Czech?
Yeah, 25. About $52,000 average salary, when Little Rock's per capita income is about 35, 36. So we're excited. We're underway.
That's a win, Doc.
Yeah.
That is a win.
We're excited.
You know what? It's so funny. When he said $25 an hour, new jobs in Czech Republic, I said, every time we get one of these Southern mayors here, I'm thinking about relocating to a different city.
You can't change every city. Every time we get a mayor.
I said it was the Birmingham mayor. I said, no, Little Rock.
But what you're seeing now in the South, myself and Mayor Lumumba from Jackson, Mississippi, and Mayor Keisha Bottoms were just in D.C. a couple weeks ago for the city's financial empowerment conference, focusing on financial literacy and financial empowerment for the underbanked and unbanked. But what you're really seeing right now in the South, in every deep South large city, we're represented by a minority woman or a minority man. Right. But what you're seeing is what we call the catalyst of the New South. Right.
And I mean, that's something that we've really been focused on here at Kudzukian. But as far as you were saying, and I don't want to mull over this, you were saying that after January 14th, you changed the way you all govern.
Yes. So
explain that.
So I'll try to not to give you a tutorial of the life of Little Rock. So Little Rock originally, up until 1956-57, was a mayor council form of government, similar to what the city of Memphis has. Due to some racial history, due to some unionized activity, the foremothers and forefathers of the Little Rock thought that we needed to move from a mayor council form of government to what they called a businessman form of government, which was a city manager form of government. Then, so from that point in time, from 57 to 92, we had different iterations of a city manager form of government, where all you had was city directors, and the mayor was merely ceremonial. It was a ceremonial person where they passed a hat from city directors. So I'm the first African American elected mayor. However, there have been two preceding mayors.
Shackelford was one.
And Charles Bussey was the other. But they both were city directors. They were not elected mayors.
I see.
They were just appointed from their peers to become mayor.
Was it 2007 when you all actually started electing?
So it was 1992 was our first directly elected mayor, and Mayor Jim Daly. And then in 2007, when Mayor Stodler was elected, he was elected as a part-time directly elected mayor, but he and some community group members said it's time to have a strong mayor. And so what they did was change the law where we have a city manager and a strong mayor as a CEO with hiring authority, with veto authority, with appointment authority, and can tell the city manager and city attorney to provide direction and duty. So basically, it's a mayor council light form of government.
Gotcha. You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network.
See, that's why we call him the King of the Rock, King of Rock.
Because
not necessarily. Yes, he's
not
still
the big
elected.
rock, but he the big man on the rock,
and he's of the people, for the people, by the people, absolutely. But now with that new profile, though, and with you being in the capital city and the most diverse city, and the city probably with the highest per capita income, and the city with most of the benefits of the state.
True.
You being in this new profile, how do you what positions does that put you in politically in terms of your ability to affect change throughout the entire state?
Well, being the capital city's mayor is strategic, number one. It is powerful, but you want to make certain that you utilize that power strategically and responsibly. So I definitely have a great relationship with the governor. Anything that happens in Little Rock is going to have an effect on Arkansas. So if we get education correct, education is going to be correct for the state. If we get transportation or economics correct, because at the end of the day, many people, when they think of Arkansas, they think first of Little Rock. And so we have to handle that with great responsibility. And that's the reason why we have public safety being a top priority for us, because Little Rock has not had a good perception and branding from safety. We just recently hired our new police chief, who was a former chief of police from Norman and Lancaster by the name of Keith Humphrey, but also economic development and education. We're working on a couple new things, our Little Rock Education 2020 plan, where we're consolidating 2 school districts, very similar to what you guys have done in Memphis, to 2 school districts districts into one south of the
Tread
Arkansas
lightly.
Well,
River.
consolidate
Tread
lightly. You
lightly.
see how that worked out for us.
Tread
huh?
lightly.
I understood.
sir.
You're right.
Tread
Lightly.
Yes, sir, because I tell you, when you talk about taking two different districts, right, and you put them together, somebody out there is going to think they're missing something. Now, just tread like.
But-
Tasha's an education
But the thing about
guru.
it, though,
she knows
is,
that.
But the thing
All right.
about it is, though, is that a lot of what's happened here in the South with this separation, as you indicated, is the result of racism.
Racism.
And in order to mend those open wounds of separatism, sometimes you have to mend them. It's not that you mend them, it's how you do it.
Right.
And so, I mean, we definitely appreciate and laud you for the efforts that you're making there. And you're continuing to make good strides in the office now. So what else do you see on the horizon for Little Rock in the future? Start what you're doing now.
So what we're planning on doing right now from a public safety standpoint, you're going to see we've had some issues with no-knock warrants and the usage of no-knock warrants.
Wow.
So our new chief of police and myself, we've gone through a review. You'll see shortly a new no-knock warrant policy. We're also going to have a citizens review board that
really?
Wow.
that reviews police misconduct, police brutality going forward. So we're looking forward to that. We're instituting a red tape commission to make certain that everyone knows that Little Rock is open for business. So what we're going to do is literally streamline all of the archaic policies that prevent pro-development and pro-growth in our city, but do it in a managed way to make certain that we do not create gentrification, but create more mixed income communities within our city that truly unite us together. But not, moving from that is, again, I go back to Little Rock Education 2020 plan. We just, one of the campaign promises that we made on the campaigns, because Little Rock has a huge, in our state, huge grade level reading problem. And so if a child is not able to read by the time in the third grade, we understand that those downstream ripple effects are negative. And so what we want to do is partner with the school district, which we've done, to create a summer reading academy. And so that just recently started.
Wow. Hold it right there. We got you. We have a lot of information, a little bit of show,
City,
a lot of
build it.
information, but a little
Lot
bit
of
of show.
vision.
We'll be right back with Mayor Frank Scott right here on Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R on Sports on the Kudzukian Network.
And we are back and on the Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. And we have with us the mayor from Little Rock, Arkansas. We call it the Little Petite, but he the big man on the rock. Frank Scott, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you so much, the Rainmaker.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I've been pondering. I keep saying to people, we are uniquely positioned over here in these great southern United States. They out there having hurricanes and stuff in the plains. They falling off into the ocean on the West Coast. The East Coast is cold. The Midwest is cold. But we nice and southern, and the people are nice, and we can't get folk to come here and do business with us because great urban cities with lots of possibilities are balancing a battle with crazy conservative supermajority Republican legislators, and that picture out to the rest of the country is not appealing. How are you battling that in your leadership in Little Rock?
Well, one, we have to, I kind of call it the 3 I's. We have to be very intentional with our relationships across the aisle. It's one of those situations where we can't afford not to communicate with one another, irrespective of political party, because at the end of the day, we have to get business done for our respective cities and our respective states. But then moving from intentionality is we have to understand intersectionality of race, culture, faith, sexual orientation, and gender identity, and how that effectuates true change and drives policy for the overall profitability of a city and a state to be prosperous. And then finally is moving from that intentionality to intersectionality, but that is inclusion. And to have an inclusion creates value. And that value shows up in a series of public safety, shows up in a series of quality of life, and shows up in a series of economics and education, which all bodes well for residents not only to survive in a city or in a state, but to thrive.
But how do you manage that? I mean, you're implementing meaningful social change now, and you've got historical states that have historically been sort of homogenous in their politics. And we know that in order for you to do a lot of things you're talking about, growing cities, bringing more people to work, creating jobs, educational equality for all. That involves making the city and the state accessible and the opportunities therein for everyone. So how do you implement the real social change to the political change without
ruffling the apple cart?
Yeah.
And here's how you do it.
Well, no, with the ruffling it, but just
Tearing it up.
We don't mind if you're ruffling it, but as long as it happens. At the end of the
Flipping it
day.
over.
How do you make that happen?
And I agree, as long as it happens. But I think also too, depending on your political affiliation, is if you're in the minority,
right,
you're still in the minority. You have to be very strategic on how you get something done to help the overall people.
Sure.
And I think one of the things is that we're finding in Arkansas is focusing on rule number one. That's follow the money. And so we're in a state where one of the largest corporations is Walmart. And so I can think back to 2 or 3 years ago when there were these different type of, and I can't think of the true meaning of the acronym, but these RFRA laws as it relates to diversity and inclusion within same-sex marriages and things of that nature for the LGBTQIA community. And it came down to a real business model that you had Walmart literally come out and support because it was good for business. Not only was it the right thing to do, but it was good for business. I think many times we had to focus on how the particular social agendas or divisive social agendas have a negative effect on the prosperity of a city and for a state.
Wow. Mr. Mayor, what does the success of Little Rock and going forward, what does that look like? And can you carry the entire state of Arkansas? Because we've already talked to, and before I ask you that, let me go ahead and say, this is funky politics. So you just say it. You got another mayor here in eastern Arkansas, and that is, of course, Marco McClendon, Mayor McClendon of West Memphis. Right. They've just had this huge $250 million investment just drop in his lap here with what's happening at the Southland Gaming. How does that get connected to Little Rock and also brings the state up 2 or 3 extra notches, in terms of economic development and all boats rising?
Oh, I agree. Marco's doing a phenomenal job, and you're right. He's getting this new windfall right now. Is the
and he's happy too.
He's happy.
I've seen him.
But also, as you think about West Memphis, you also have to think about Pine Bluff, and you have a black woman mayor by the name of Cheryl Washington,
talk to her too.
And she too is getting a windfall with a new casino as well. And so, one of the things that we do as far as mayors, we all communicate. Number one. But not moving from that communication is to understand from an Arkansas standpoint is the highest traveled interstate in Arkansas, which is also in Tennessee, is Interstate 40.
That's right.
And it intersects in Little Rock along with Interstate 30, which is in the top 10. Right. And so from a Little Rock perspective, that we're literally in the center, and our outspokes go to everyone. And so what's good in Little Rock is going to help everyone who is connected to us within our entire state. And so, again, it goes with communication, goes with coordination, but it goes, again, to make certain that we are all speaking from the same tune on economics.
Pine Bluff, West Memphis, Little Rock. Man, what's happened in Arkansas? People awaken and say, you know what? We can trust black leadership. It's good.
But I'm going to add something to you.
What you
said Pine Bluff, Westman, and Little Rock are all black mayors, but Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is the second largest city in Arkansas, is also led by former state rep, but now Mayor George McGill.
Wow.
Well, I'm excited about it.
But let's also, Little Rock is 50-50, black, white, but George S. McGill, I think the black population may be 10%.
Small.
Whoa, in Fort Smith?
Fort Smith, but it's a city of 80,000. Yeah.
But therein lies the paradox, though, because you've got all those, African American leaders, African American leadership, but then you also have a state that was overwhelmingly supportive of Republican leadership. And I only say Republican leadership because Republican leadership is fine, but the new xenophobia, race baiting leadership is not. So how do the causes that you, the other mayors in Arkansas, the other African American mayors of large cities in the South, which there are several, how does that cause and that call for diversity emanate over the xenophobia for the citizens that are coming up now? How does that social change? How do you all collectively create that social change? Because the South is rising. What it's going to rise to is
I think it's totally the responsibility is upon those of us that are elected, first and foremost, to do our job. I think so many times we get caught up and focusing on national politics. Right. But as my grandfather told me, my only job right now is to pick up the trash, catch the robbers, and put out the fires. Anything else I do is because I love the people.
Keep the
and so many people are focus on these other things. But we as mayors, we're not. I mean, we literally have to make certain that, because at the end of the day, my constituent is a Trump supporter and an Obama supporter.
That's true.
And I got to treat them just the same.
Right.
And focus on what's going on at City Hall and not what's going on at the state capitol. And then many times we are drugged into national spotlight and national issues that, we can't even control. And I tend just to focus on my job now. But if you focus on your job now and you have a true inclusive agenda, it will catch fire nationally.
Let me say this. We got to get him out of here. But let me say this. You got something burning. Go ahead, Tasha.
You got to let the rain.
Most of America still remembers banging in Little Rock, so y'all can get your face.
You mean the HBO special?
Most of America still remembers a narrative that was created around this banging in Little Rock.
Right. Yeah.
You had President Clinton and Hillary Clinton and their impact on mass incarceration and all of these other kind of issues.
The shadow of the Capitol.
So people think about Little Rock in a national spotlight, probably in a way that I think most of us may not pay attention to. But the one thing that we over here on the other side of the bridge are talking about is like, what that medical marijuana doing though?
We're gonna let you in on the we gonna let me in on the weed.
What you gotta do to get a card? That's what we trying to figure out what you gotta do to get a card.
Go see a doctor.
Well, you go see Dr. Archie Hearn.
Shout out Dr. Hearn. Wherever you at, Doc. We got something coming
you
to
come
you.
to Little Rock,
and what that means potentially for revenue.
And again, it's another tax base for us, and it's legal, and it will be fully operable in our city.
Wow. Let me say something. We don't oftentimes get a chance to sit with young, just robust folks that look like us who are running major entities like you are in Little Rock. But I'm proud of you. Memphis, not Memphis born, but Memphis bred through the University of Memphis, no doubt, right? But let me tell you something, man. You are a shining star in not only the state of Arkansas, but really around the country. And we look to see bigger things come out. I could see the governor of Arkansas at some point just in your ballot. I can see it happening. I can see it happening. We got to let you get out of here. We're right here on Funky Politics. We have had a wonderful conversation with the mayor.
Thank you so much, DC, Doc, and Tasha. I really do appreciate you all for this opportunity. Again, it's just great to be back at home in my second home and to be a part of Funky Politics.
All right.
We appreciate you.
You tell them old six friends of yours that we said we'll see them later on. But anyway, we'll be right back here with some closing thoughts on Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network.
What you're talking for. Riffin' on Jazz.
I'm Howard Robertson, one of your hosts for Riffin' on Jazz. Riffin' is your weekly visit with friends where we dive all in to that classic African-American art form called jazz. So don't miss Riffin' with me and my man Melvin Massey every week on your favorite broadcast and podcast platforms.
Riffin' on Jazz on the Kudzukian Network. Kudzukian! The whole funk, nothing but the funk.
You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kudzukian Network. And I've been told sometimes that we get a little long-winded. So as we close this show out, I'm just going to put it to you just like this. Real right and funky, that's what we do. This show's more funkier than a fresh hot zoo. And now we're done, so I'm going to get out of sight. Thank y'all for coming. God bless you. Good night. Is that good enough?
That was pretty good, but
that's it.
You can't say funkier than a zoo.
In a zoo,
I'm not going to equate the Funky Zoo with my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Frank Scott Jr.
You take too long, so
I
got in and I got out.
I want people to know though that Mayor Scott. Hold on, Mayor Scott told you. He already told Tasha to talk to Dr. Hearn over there about the car.
You like the zoo?
He said get your car from Dr. Hearn over there. But he also talked about how Little Rock is getting it right. You know what I'm saying? How it's getting it right. And we're talking about a 50-50 city, right? We're not talking about some super majority African American.
The most important
thing,
this young man
is he's on top of it.
But the most important thing he said about it, as far as the South and with the prominence and preeminence of African American leadership, is that everyone should focus on doing the job of providing the services and making the city livable and desirable for all of the citizens and those who visit.
Is that low-hanging fruit? Is that low-hanging fruit?
No, it's not really low-hanging fruit. It's just fruit. And some fruit is good fruit. It's good fruit. Some fruit you have to climb the ladder to get. Some is low-hanging.
But it's fruit. At the top of the tree, you ain't gonna never get it.
Let's get out of here.
Some of it you're not.
You let's get out of here.
See, you took me too long. You took me too long. You took me too long.
I gotta get on the bus to Little Rock. I gotta go see Dr. Hearn.
So get on the bus.
Yes, sir.
And have a good ride. And next time we'll see you,
I might be high.
I will never leave rhyming up to you again. So in the meantime, as always, we suggest that you keep it real.
Keep it right.
You got to keep it funky.
And we'll see y'all next time on Funky Politics.
Funky Politics, hosted by Daryl D.C. Catron, Tasha Downey, and Marcus M.D. Ward. Recorded at Kudzukian Studios. Directed, produced, and distributed by Kudzukian.